Hello. Welcome to the stream. Having a little technical difficulties here, but working through it. Hey, Lisa, thanks for joining. Can you hear me okay? Too loud, too low? All right, we are going to hop right into it. King Spotlight, welcome. Excellent, excellent. Alrighty, I'm not going to delay too much. I'm going to hop right into the subject, hey page, into the topics that we have listed here. Unfortunately, I don't know why I wasn't able to send out a notification, but hopefully more people come in. If not, we'll just hang out. So let's start off with the state of emergency. Just wanted to quickly go through that and not really get into the specifics, but I'm not sure if you're aware, but Westmoreland and also a few other parishes are under state of emergency based on some violence that has been taking place throughout the country, and the Prime Minister put the state of emergency in place to hopefully quell it down a little bit, but wanted to speak more specifically to Negril and how it might be affecting Negril. And so normally when we had the lockdown a few months ago, we had an army post between the Westmoreland and Hanover Parish border, but they didn't put that in place right now. I went to Montego Bay on Friday, and there was an army checkpoint there, but that was the only one that I saw heading towards the north coast. So I'm not really too sure the other part, how it's affecting the other parishes, or maybe even deeper into Westmoreland, but Negril not so much. I'm not sure if you've heard, but we have the curfew has been extended. So it used to be 8 p.m. and now it's 9 p.m. So that's pretty good. I don't think that necessarily has anything to do with the state of emergency, but that's more so to do with the progress that we're having as far as COVID is concerned. We are having a lot more vaccinations, which is excellent, of course. And as we move forward and get more vaccinations, then I think these COVID measures will be lightened up, basically. So with state of emergency, not much has changed as far as Negril specifically is concerned. So I do want to let people know that. I know when people hear state of emergency overseas, they think, oh my gosh, there's a war breaking out. That's honestly not the case or anything like that. It's like I mentioned before, it's a measure to really quell violence that's happening in different neighborhoods outside of Negril. As far as day-to-day life goes, I think for the most part, especially if you're a tourist who's visiting, I don't think you even see a difference, or there is a difference in your vacation. The only difference that you'll see that you've always seen will have to do with Corona. That's it. So that's pretty much the state of emergency update. If you have any questions on that, please let me know. But let's hop into the next subject. So we have Reggae Marathon. I'm not sure if everybody's aware. That's basically the premier marathon in Jamaica, and we're blessed to host it here in Negril. And it's a full marathon, 26.2 miles. Of course, I'm not sure if you're aware, I'm a marathon runner, so I'm very passionate about running and very passionate about this specific event. I ran my first marathon in 2016, and that was Reggae Marathon. So it holds a special place in my heart. That's where I fell in love with running, and I fell in love with being a marathoner. And unfortunately, last year they canceled it due to Corona, and then they also this year they're going to be canceling it. Well, I shouldn't say canceling it, but they're doing a virtual race, and you can join up. Anybody can do it anywhere around the world. So they not only have a marathon, they have a 10K, and then they also have a half marathon if you're interested. And anybody can join that from anywhere in the world. There is going to be a small group of runners. Let me see if I can pull up the calendar, that are getting together. It's the first weekend in December. And basically, there's going to be a bunch of us coming here, are coming out to Negril, running the same course that Reggae Marathon would normally be ran. I believe we're starting at the same time, and the gun time is at 5:15. Usually, if I have that right, yeah, 5:15, and that is going to be first Sunday, which is December 7th. So that's the first Sunday in this December. So if you're in the grill, you'll probably see a bunch of people running. It's going to be unofficial. It's not going to be sanctioned or anything like that, from what I understand. But if you want to join in and hop in, for sure, I would encourage you. You're more than welcome to. We would welcome it. I'll hopefully, if I'm not in New York, I will be there and I'll be running it. I probably won't be racing it, but I know a lot of runners from the states are coming in. I'm almost certain the Reggae Runners, which is a group from the United States that are coming to. They come every year for Reggae Marathon, so they're. I think they're also going to be participating in it next week, 2 weeks from now, actually. So that's the update on Reggae Marathon. Again, any questions, let me know. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Oh, alluded to the next subject we have is tourism opening up. Alluded to that a little bit earlier. So I actually last week I had a video that didn't work. If you remember, I had several. So I got one of them to come up. Not the best quality, but I can talk through it as I put it up here. So I shot this video last week. This was shot between Saturday evening and Sunday morning. So this is Saturday evening. This is Over Travelers here in the grill. Just kind of wanted to give everybody an idea of what it's like here now. So it just finished raining, so there's not really a lot of people on the beach and not really a lot of people out, but didn't have the best sunset either. But my point in making this video, I wanted to show the difference between how it was a few months ago and how Negril compares to now. And the biggest difference is this: you just see a lot more activity on the beach, a lot more activity on the roads as well, which will come up. And so this is looking north towards northern Negril, looking up the beach. And then on the right side is the Great Morass, which is a big part of our environmental ecosystem here in Negril. And as you can see, this is Norman Manley Boulevard. You see, for Negril, this is a lot of traffic, especially during the evening hours when things are winding down. And I see the difference, or I should say, I feel the difference when I'm coming to work in the morning and going home in the evening. And like I said, there's a lot more traffic. That white building on the right there on your screen that you can see, that's actually the new hospital that's being built. It's a private hospital, which is not too far from Travelers. And this view is facing south. This is towards downtown Negril, the roundabout. And on the far left, you can see South Negril River. And then, of course, on the right, which is a little blown out, that's Caribbean Sea. That's the beach there. And here's another shot of Travelers. Again, just giving an overview, just giving like basic understanding of what it's like. And yeah, not a lot of people there. This is because of the rain, really. But this is the sunset that we got last time. Pretty cloudy because of the rain, but nice colors. I believe this is the end of the video. Yep, that's it. So hope you guys got a little bit of a feel of the vibe there. Hopefully next week I'll be able to get those other videos up and running. But the format for this for this program that I'm using to stream is a little unorthodox. So just got to adapt as best I can. But next week I'll definitely hopefully have a couple more videos up to give you guys an idea of the video of the feel here. Excuse me. I do have a couple questions in the comments here. So Ingrid's asking, do you have to be vaccinated to visit Jamaica? No, you don't actually. So you just have to have a negative COVID test, the rapid test. You don't need a PCR. And you have to have that within 3 days of travel. And then you also have to fill out what they call a travel authorization form. So basically, just ensuring that you knowingly haven't been in contact with anybody with COVID. And there's a bunch of different questions that you go through, and everybody coming in, whether you're a resident or non-resident, has to fill this out. In addition, so to add to that, during COVID, the last year and a half, you were only allowed to, if you're a visitor, allowed to stay in the resilient corridor, it was named. So basically from Negril to Port Antonio on the north coast, and also I believe Treasure Beach, if I'm not mistaken. And you weren't allowed to go into the inner country, if you will, even if you did test negative. So now that actually has been lifted, and you can test negative. Once you test negative and you come into the country, you're free to go everywhere. And as a matter of fact, I believe now even like you can use your going back, at least for the States. I apologize, if you're going back to the States now, you have to if you're a non-US resident, you have to be vaccinated to get into the States. That started on the 8th of this month, as November, this month, as a matter of fact. But yeah, if you are vaccinated, you do have a little bit more privileges as far as that's concerned. Thank you for the question, Ingrid. Hopefully that clears that up. Sticking on the subject of tourism opening up, we are starting to get cruise ships as well, which is also exciting. And there are just, in general, there's just more people here in Negril. There's more people here at the hotel. And it's just good to see. And especially like now we're starting to get back Canadian guests. So Canada has opened up for us, which is fantastic. And then also the UK. So we're starting to get UK guests now, which is exciting. It's like really just in time, right before the season is starting. And that just goes to show you that Jamaica is making progress as far as the virus is concerned. I think the Prime Minister has been, in my opinion, conservative and not in a good way in terms of addressing the virus and protecting the community and protecting the people. So it's kind of good to see that these measures are slowly being lifted for people coming in and also the residents of Jamaica here. Oh, Paige made a good point. You do have to have a PCR test going back to Canada. I had a friend actually recently go back and has to do that. It's a little bit more expensive. I'm not sure the pricing on that, but yeah, that is a requirement. That is a requirement to go back to Canada. So just keep that in mind. All right, this is a subject that I wanted to hit on, kind of streaming through these things. So the next topic we got is top underrated restaurants in Negril. So this is in no particular order, and of course, this is completely my opinion. So in general, I think there are amazing restaurants in Negril. We have really good food, and just keep in mind when you do come now, because of the curfew, that our restaurants close in general. They're just closing a little bit earlier. So if you want to leave your hotel or where you're staying to go out to eat somewhere, just keep in mind you probably want to have dinner a little bit earlier. And even though that the restaurant can stay open till 9 p.m., we got to think that team members, staff members do have to get home. So that's a big reason why restaurants are closing. Some close like an hour before, or they take the last order an hour before closing because of that. And normally these restaurants, ourselves included here at Travelers, we're closed at 11 p.m. But now because of curfew, like we'll take the last orders at like 9 o'clock, 9:30. Because of the curfew. And as I mentioned last week, we do have transportation for our staff during the evenings, but there are some establishments that don't have that. So I'm just basically advocating for a little understanding when you do come here. And I'm sure this is the same in all other parts of the island as well. So on to I'll say five. I won't say top five. I'll say five of what I think are the most underrated restaurants in Negril. And this is in no particular order. So I'll talk about each one and we'll go through it. And if anybody has any questions, or if you guys have your own top 5 or restaurants that you think are underrated, please put it in the comments. I'd love to hear about that. So the first one is Just Natural. Sorry, again, these pictures aren't the best quality. These are just screen grabs. So this is in deep West End. If you've heard about or know Just Natural, let me know if you've eaten there. It is all natural. You can get vegan, vegetarian food there. It's basically farm to table food that they have there. And this is run by Miss Tyson. She's actually a big volunteer at our nonprofit organization. But even before she was with us, this has been a really great restaurant that my dad has always gone to. She also does a bit of natural healing when it comes to massages and things of that nature, and super affordable as well. So I highly recommend you check this place out. So if you're going towards the West End, just before you get into deep West End, like that's where her place is. Before you make that right turn going to, I'm like pointing, but you can't see me. But before you make that right turn going towards the lighthouse, or going towards deep West End, I should say, that's where Just Natural is. So one of my favorite places. Super underrated. Great juices, great menu as well, and again, super affordable. The next restaurant that I want to put up there is Coletta's. So this is on the Beach Road. Super underrated. I mean, this place has really amazing breakfast. Our restaurant was closed for refurbishment a few weeks ago, and I do cook. I'm not the best and greatest cook, so I almost went here almost every day for breakfast, and just really on point, super consistent. And again, another spot that I think is really affordable. It's super popular amongst the locals. You see a lot of taxi drivers going to get their breakfast in the morning, getting their soup. I love their peanut punch, not soup, porridge. Their peanut punch porridge, and their cornmeal porridge and oatmeal porridge is also good as well. And great breakfast spot. I've had dinner there a few times. If I'm running late and I need to grab something quick, I'll go there, get a box dinner, and then eat in my office or eat at home. But another, I think, highly underrated restaurant. This is along Norman Manley Boulevard, a little past Grand Pineapple. So, and it's on the morass side of the road. So Coletta's. I'll make sure that I have, after this live is finished, I'll make sure that I have links to these different restaurants and also a little bit of a description for them. But Coletta's, definitely another one of my favorites. All right. Next, we got Matthews. So this is owned by a friend of mine, Matthew Wallace. This is in the new NCB Plaza on the northern part of the beach, northern part of Norman Manley Boulevard. So this is in the Treehouse, across from Treehouse, if you will, in the plaza where the NCB Plaza is. And I would say one of the more modern restaurants, modern indoor restaurants, good place if you want to watch the game. They have a bunch of TVs in there. It's air conditioned. They also have outdoor seating as well. Good service. I believe, I could be wrong, this is the only place in Negril that you can get sushi. And they also have vegan and vegetable sushi rolls. So I highly recommend that if that's something that you're looking to have, is Matthews. I think the only other places, and I stand to be corrected on this, but if there is another restaurant that does it, I don't know about it other than the all-inclusives. But this is a great place for sushi. And good location as well. You know, you don't have, like, some of these places, it's a little difficult to park, but this has a huge parking lot as well, so that's a plus. And then because it's in the plaza, there's so many other things that you can do: banking, pharmacy, that sort of thing. So there's convenience built into that. Again, Matthew's one of another favorite one of mine. All right, next up is Sips and Bites. So this is on the West End. This is right past Rock House. Another like little gem. I'd say me and my brothers, we used to go here a lot for breakfast. Great place for breakfast. Super affordable. Really good, consistent food. Their oxtail is amazing. So is their fried dumpling, their fish. I mean, everything is great. So highly recommend this place for breakfast. And then we also used to go there. Sometimes we go there for lunch as well. Great lunch spot. And the food, it's not, you don't wait there for hours. And I should mention, like all these places that I mentioned, like it's not on island time. The food in relatively quick comes out relatively quick. So that's another thing that I mentioned. And all, like, the owners, the wait staff, super super friendly, super welcoming as well. So it's not just great food, but also a great environment and good service, in my opinion. So yeah, Sips and Bites. This is again just a little past Rock House on the cliffside, and it's good. The breakfast is like really definitely number one for me, but also they have really good lunch, and that oxtail. Can't forget about that oxtail. And lastly, we have Cherella Inn. So this is Lavendum restaurant. They have like this super super underrated. I mean, everybody knows Cherella Inn. I think if you spend any significant time in the grill, but their restaurant again is like really underrated. They have really great breakfast. They have croissants. They have chocolate croissants. They have regular croissants for breakfast. So that's what I go there for as well. Great cappuccinos. And it's hard to find these nuanced coffees. So like latte, at least good, like lattes, cappuccinos, that sort of thing. But they do really good coffee there as well. And as I mentioned, they have, I think, their only place that I could say, and I could be wrong again, that has croissants and chocolate croissants as well. Great breakfast, a great place to go for Sunday breakfast. Also, their dinner is fantastic. They have really good lamb and really good steak. I would argue to say probably the best in the grill, I would say. If you like lamb, if you like steak, this is like my place to go for that. And then they also have a good wine selection. I'm not much of a wine guy, but they do have a pretty decent wine selection for dinner, and also good bread. If you like dinner rolls, I really do like their bread there as well. So those are my top five underrated restaurants. I don't know if you guys have any, like, throw them in the comments. I'd love to hear about love to hear about them. So we had Cherella Inn, which we just talked about, Just Natural, Coletta's, Matthews, Sips and Bites, and I'll have everything in down below in the description, like putting links to all of them. I love sharing my my favorite restaurants, or even my itineraries that I would recommend to everybody. And I'm definitely going to be doing like a video on each one of these, because like I really do enjoy their food, and I think other people should experience it as well. Oh, all right. Let's just look at some comments here. Good question. Missy asked if we're hosting anything for New Year's. Yes, we are. Not sure exactly what the entertainment lineup is. I actually have scheduled next week that we're going to be talking about New Year's in the grill. And normally, like, overall, like, I love New Year's Eve in the grill. It's just like an amazing vibe. Like, you can walk up and down the beach. There's so many people out. Everybody's celebrating and excited for the new year to come. Usually we have fireworks. We didn't have any last year. I haven't heard that we are going to have any this year. So I will try to find out in the next week or so what is being planned as far as the grill as a whole is concerned. In regards to travelers, yeah, we'll do something. Probably not anything too crazy. Like, sometimes we have like big bands and things of that nature come in, but I would just have to keep in mind that we're still in a pandemic, and probably want to be on the more conservative side. But I'll definitely speak more to this next week. Thank you for the question, Missy. What's going on, Gino? I see you. Yeah, Shelly, I see Matthews is pretty amazing. It's a good switch, because a lot of the restaurants are outdoor, they're on the beach or on the cliffs, or maybe a little bit in the forest, kind of like Just Natural. But switching it up, there are not a lot of indoor restaurants, air conditioned restaurants. So Matthews gives you that different feel, and again, good food, good service as well. Okay, got a question from Sade here. What do I love most about living in the grill? Um, I would say like the overall lifestyle here, I do enjoy. It's a beach town and it's a tourist town at the end of the day. Like it's just the community and the commerce is completely built around tourism. And I think that is like the draw to me. And of course, like just the beauty of the sea and the getting up and having access to it every day. Like literally, I spoke about this last week. Just getting up, doing my runs, and then having the ability to hop in the water right after, I think is just such a blessing. And then I spoke about the restaurants as well. Like I'm from New York originally, and like a big part of the culture there is like the different types of restaurants. And so you get a small version of that. Like, of course, I'm not saying that we're in New York or anywhere compared to that of New York in terms of the variety, but I think to having those different types of options available at your fingertips, I think it's a huge blessing and it's a huge plus to be in a small town like this and to have access to these different types of cuisines and different types of restaurants. Um, Hope that answers your question, but that's my answer. Georgia asks, "Is there a lot of crime in the grill?" No, I have to say there isn't. At least as far as I know, and I speak frankly about this. I was thinking about this the other day. It's not really, and also like it's not really a place like if you're walking down the beach, you think somebody's going to pickpocket you or something like that. Like no, like not at all. I think in general, like Jamaicans just completely despise thieves, and then also here in the grill, it's especially if you're a visitor and you're coming here, like there's an element of protection, I would say, because we don't want to ruin the goose that laid the golden egg, right? We want to protect it as much as possible. So I wouldn't necessarily say Negril I wouldn't say it's crime free, but I wouldn't say that there's a lot of crime here. I feel very, very safe here. Knock on wood, I've been here almost 16 years, and I can't think of a single incident that I was like fearful of my life or I thought something was going to happen or anything of that nature. I mean, to be honest, I'm very home to work. That's kind of my modality. But even when I do go out and I do socialize, I feel super super safe. And even where I live, I think it's safe. And the people who are around me, I feel like they're operating and living their lives without fear, or they're not walking around in fear, I should say. Hope that answers your question. Thank you for the question, Georgia. Sheikah asked, "What's the best area to live in Negril?" It depends. I mean, you have so many options, right? As you answer that question, like different places in my mind just are triggered. So you can, of course, live on the beach if there's several different places. And I don't know your background, Chica. Is I always say, like, if you're not from here or if you've been living abroad for a while, like definitely like highly recommend living in a gated community. You don't have to. Like there's a lot of return residents that don't live in a gated community. If you saw if you saw my podcast episode with Elaine Bradley, Mrs. Elaine Bradley, she came here, moved here, bought her land, built her house, and she doesn't live in a gated community. And there are many, I would say most returning residents do not live in a gated community in Negril. And so, but that's just again my singular advice. So you have the beach, you have West End Negril that you can also live. So that's on the cliff side. And then you don't necessarily also have to live in Negril. You can live going in Sheffield. You can live in Lucy. You can live on the outskirts of Negril, which is a little bit cheaper. But you're 5 minutes, you're 10 minutes away. There's also Deep West End as well. Depends on what you're going for. It depends on what you're looking for. I think you have a wide variety. Excuse me. You have a wide variety of choices to choose from in terms of the lifestyle that you want to live. But it also depends on if you want to buy a piece of land and you want to build, or you want to move into a gated community. So you have different options, and it all comes down to your taste. Oh God, a lot of questions coming in. Okay, I guess we're in the question and answer part. So the Shelly asked, "What is the employment like for locals? Do you have a lot of retail stores in the grow?" Yeah, we do. We do have I mean, there are a bunch of retail stores in the grill, like in terms of like it's mostly, I would say, these souvenir shops that sell that sort of thing, but you're not gonna have like a department store type situation here. There's small versions of that, but not really at the same time. Um, there's pharmacies like sells everything here in the grill, or in Jamaica. I would say I think you can get almost anything at a pharmacy. You can go grocery shopping there slightly, and then you can also buy a dress there at some of these pharmacies as well. So no, not a lot of retail options here. And you can go to Sav. Actually, Sav has a few retail options there, and then of course Montego Bay, you have a lot more choices, a lot more different plazas. So that's about an hour and a half away from Negril. What is the employment like for locals? As I mentioned before, Negril is really, it's a tourism mecca. It's a tourism hub, and so most people who are employed here directly indirectly affiliated with tourism somehow, some way. So even now, as things start opening up, I can speak from travelers. Like we're doing some light hiring, I should say, that we're going through the process of getting more people, getting ready for the season, I should say, which is officially starts December 15th. But even now, as I mentioned earlier, Negril in general is a bit busier than we were in the last 6 to 8 months, last year and a half for sure. And it was looking like it's going to continue to progress in that direction. So we want to, as a hotel, we want to be prepared for that and be prepared for that demand. But also we're looking for good talent, and I would venture to guess that other entities and other hospitality companies are also looking for good talent. So it's that whole hire slow practice that we're going into. So I do think that there are opportunities for locals. And I'm only speaking specific to the tourism industry because that's what I know. Thank you for the question, Shelly. Juices, just natural rocks. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Really, really great restaurant. Got a couple of other top restaurants. Alfred, yeah, Alfred's has great breakfast as well. Kuyaba is great. Pelican Lookout, yeah, Pelican Lookout. That's a nut. So that's a new restaurant that's on the Deep West, and yeah, that's definitely an honorable mention. Thank you for that. Yeah, the top five they need more than five for sure. But on like all these, I'm going to be definitely going to be doing visits and making videos on all of them. Thank you for those. All right. Let's see. Any other questions? Oh, somebody asked about Reggae Marathon. Okay, Martina asking about Reggae Marathon. I do. If I'm not, I'm actually supposed to be in New York right now, but unfortunately, my passport has not come in, so I have to deal with that tomorrow, and hopefully, I will get there this week. So if I'm not in New York, I will definitely be running Reggae Marathon. It's not, as I mentioned before, I'm not sure if you're on, Martina. It's not a fully sanctioned race. It's going to be a bunch of people doing the race just amongst ourselves. Just I know a bunch of runners from different parts of the island that are going to be hopping on and doing the marathon, starting up from Long Bay. So yeah, I guess I should mention that the route of the marathon, it starts at Long Bay, runs all the way downtown south towards a roundabout, loops around the roundabout, goes all the way back up the beach. So you're past all the small hotels. You go past Long Bay, and then you go past Hedo, Royalton, all the large hotels, and then you basically turn around at Little Bay at the right before the Salt Creek Bridge, and you come back and you finish at Long Bay. So that's 13.1 miles, and I believe that's all everybody's running. I don't know anybody who's running the marathon. I know I won't be running the full marathon. I'm just going to be running the half marathon if I am here, and we'll finish up at Long Bay. So that's again first Sunday in December, December 7th is going to be that unofficial marathon here in Negril, and starting at 5:15. So if you're here, you'll see a bunch of runners on the road. Yeah, come out and cheer. I know they would definitely appreciate it. If I'm there, I would appreciate it that as well. Okay, got another question from Georgia. She asked, "What is the average price for the average size property on the ocean in Negril? Are there any restrictions with building a house there? I watched a video on residents building with containers." Good question. Hard to answer like specifically. So I did a video on Little Bay Country Club, which is on the northern part of Negril on the ocean side. It's a beautiful property, gated community, 24-hour security. They have oceanfront homes, and then they have garden front homes, I guess you can call that. They're on the inside. They have tennis court, basketball court, infinity pool, community center, beach, soups. Like they have a lot of amenities, is what I'm trying to say. And the house that I had on the video, which actually recently sold, it was a 2-bedroom, 2 floors, oceanfront. I should say cliff front. It's on the cliff facing the sea, and that went for, I believe, 570,000. It sold for. I think it was listed at 590, if I'm not mistaken, and it sold for 570,000 US dollars. That gives you an idea of what that costs. If you say, for example, a lot of people I know buy land and then they also build. Then they build their house. So, Negril Estate, for example, don't please don't quote me on this, but I believe their lots are about 7,000 square feet, and they are going for probably just under $100,000, I would say, that they're going for. But this is just ballpark for your information. And then again, whatever you put into your house, or what kind of house that you want to have or want to build, I mean, that's up to you. But also keep in mind, like right now, construction materials are extremely expensive, and probably higher than it would normally cost you to purchase those materials. Are there any restrictions on with building a house there? Yes, there are. There are many restrictions. From I'm not sure what you mean by that, but like in whether it's the plumbing, the electrical, like we do have codes that you have to follow. Also there, and I don't know if this applies to residents, but on the commercial side of building, you can only go up to 4 stories. It used to be 3 stories are the highest coconut tree in the grill. That was actually literally written into law, but now they've actually extended it because of larger hotels came in and they wanted more floors. But from a commercial standpoint, you can go up 4 floors. I'm unsure if that applies to residential construction, but I can look into that for you and find out what the height restriction is on building residential homes. Thank you for the question, Georgia. Appreciate it. All right, let's see what else we got here. Thank you, Shelly. All right, got another question here from Sade. It seems like real estate development is high in demand in Jamaica. I see a lot of luxury property development in Kingston. Is that happening in Negril also? No, that's not happening in Negril. I mentioned this it was either a podcast or last week, but yes, definitely in Kingston, you're seeing a lot of these. I wouldn't call high rise, but we'll call them multi-story apartment buildings that are going up. But I believe that is because there's just not enough housing in Kingston, and I hear they're even building outside of Kingston at this point in time, and they're very expensive luxury apartments that they have there. And I was looking into some of them. Some of them are comparable to some places in New York, which I think is incredible. And again, I think that just speaks to demand for housing in Kingston at this point in time. Juxtaposed to Negril, no, there is only call it four gated communities in Negril, developed properties that we have here, and no, as far as I know, no new construction, no new developments. But I also believe that the demand is here as well for that. Even though I was talking earlier about housing and building, I think it's a great business opportunity. There's not a lot of middle income housing. And what I mean by middle income is, like, if you look at Little Bay Country Club, you're over $500,000 for a place, which I think is a lot of money. Granted, you're on the beach, you're in a gated community, et cetera, but still, that's a lot of money. And then if you go into like the renting aspect, it's going to be expensive. But if you can do a development, again, this is my opinion, my numbers, where you can have like an average person paying the range between 1,000 to 1,500 for new construction and a new residential development. I think that would be ideal and start attracting some. I would say I always consider the talent and the brain power that we have in our society. So if there's somehow we can start attracting more talent to Negril, and they can help push our society and push our community forward, I think one of the big steps in having that is making sure people are comfortable and having available options, or viable options, I should say, that they don't have to come to Negril and necessarily not live a lifestyle that they were living at home, but actually coming here and upgrading. So, that's my little take on housing in Negril. And I'd love to see some of the real estate developers that are doing developments in Kingston come to Negril, because my gut feeling, my instinct is that the demand is there, but we don't have it right now. We don't have that available. I guess this rolls into my what I was just kind of saying. So what does Negril need? I want to start a small business. What would you do? Great, great, great question. So Negril is like one of these towns that we don't really have any, like we don't have anything when you think about a functioning social society. And especially I think about young people, so I think about teenagers, and then I also think about people who are in their early 20s, or even people, young families. And we don't have a lot of amenities as a town to attract those types of people. So we don't have a bowling alley, we don't have a movie theater, we don't have like any sort of communal or after school program for students to go to, or nothing of that nature. We don't even have a high school in Negril. So that just kind of just tells you, gives you a good indication of where we are and the type of town we are, as far as the community and the nuclear family goes. Because so we have to bus all of our students outside of Negril once you get into high school, which is just it's inefficient, it's sad, and it's just another. I'm actually working on a video for the Rotary Club, and they have this program called Gets Kids to School, and one thing that they're advocating for is a high school for Negril, because if you go to Manning's, which is in Sav, which is in one of the top high schools in all of Jamaica, and your kid gets in there, that's 40 minutes there, maybe 45 minutes there, 45 minutes back. I mean, that's just too much time to be spent in transportation, but we got no other choice. But if we had a decent high school in Negril, and we can cut down that commute time to 15 minutes or maybe even less, I mean, that's more time the student has to sleep, more time the student has to study and put their focus on being a good student, instead of going to and from their home to school. So it's like these little things that we need to really uplift and move the society and move our community forward. But on the commerce side, in terms of what we need, there's just so many things that, like, you could come to Negril. This is, again, my opinion, and you can do well. Like if you came here and you had a standalone coffee shop, and we can see that uh, the work from home phenomenon is, I wouldn't even say a phenomenon, it's here to stay. That's going to be the way of our society moving forward. And I think as humans, like, that's going to be how we live our lives and how we earn a living. And so if you have a business idea that better positions yourself, or positions yourself to take advantage of what is already happening, and or also what is to come, all for it. And I think a business like a coffee shop, you're going to get a lot of local support as well, because I would like to go somewhere that I could come out of my studio or come out of my office and to get some work done, or maybe even to conduct a meeting. So I always said that, like, something like that would be a good business. I mentioned a movie theater before. I don't know the insides of running a movie theater. I would imagine it's quite expensive. Whether the average Negro person can afford, I believe there's a movie theater in Montego Bay. I think they charge like $1,000, $700 to $1,000 for a movie ticket. Maybe it's a little bit higher because of inflation right now. Can the average person or average family afford 4,000 Jamaican dollars, that is, to go to a movie, and plus popcorn, drinks? And I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a volume-based business. You can lower prices, but get more people in there. But I know as a community, we need programs like that. We need organized sports, things of that nature. Like a lot of these little things that I think we all take for granted, at least in how I grew up and probably in your communities where you're living that you may take for granted. We just honestly just don't have here right now. So those are just some examples that I think would do well here, and just something to think on, I guess. Again, purely my opinion. And if you have any other business ideas that you think would do well, please put them in the comments. I'd love to hear them. I just came on. What are the best breakfast and lunch places to eat where locals, not including KFC? Well, we don't have a KFC in Negril. We have a Popeyes, which, yeah, I don't eat on any of those, as a matter of fact. But I mentioned before, Sips and Bites is a great place for breakfast. I love that. That's on the west end. Coletta's on the Beach Road is another great place for breakfast. And super though, that's where a lot of locals go. At least Coletta's, I would say. A lot of locals go to Coletta's. Both super affordable. What were the other ones for breakfast? And I mean, not super local, but Cherella Inn. I like that. I like their breakfast as well. It's more of a French restaurant. You can kind of get good croissants and good coffee there as well. But not local, but I would say, excuse me, one of my favorite places to go for breakfast. All right. Shelly has a nice comment here. Most luxury apartments seems to be going up in Kimpton. Have you seen Dream 360 in Montego Bay? I think I know what you're talking about, Dream 360, but I just heard about it. I don't know much about that, but I think I just heard about that development. COVID cases in Negril. I don't know what the specific numbers are. I would venture to guess it's going down. Our staff members are starting to get vaccinated, and a lot of other hotels are also getting their team members are getting vaccinated. So when I hear and see these things like that, just tells me that we're continuing to move forward and getting control of this whole virus situation. All right, just seeing. Great question. What is the population of the grill? I was actually just having this conversation with another board member of the Negril Chamber of Commerce. We don't know because we need to do a census of Negril. Because I would say in the last, call it 3 to 4 years, there's been a huge influx of other people, other Jamaicans from other parts of the island coming to Negril. And I think they used to say like 25,000, but I feel like we've got to be more than that now at this point, at least just from a visual standpoint. Just from what I'm seeing, there seems to be more people here, more people living. I honestly, I don't really know what that number is. Thank you, Brian McDonald, for the comment. Oh, this is something that we've talked about a lot here. Giving Negril municipal status should alleviate the lack of quality amenities within town and surrounding areas. The government puts too much emphasis on Ochimo Bay, Mandeville. Not good. Can't agree more with that statement. That's actually something that we're considering. I'm not sure where we are in that process, but becoming our own municipality would greatly help in assisting with moving the community forward. I honestly believe that might be the only answer. And I was talking about this in the live last week, is that a lot of what gets done in Negril is done by the Negril Chamber of Commerce because we are not our own municipality, because we don't have direct representation in government. We use the Negril Chamber of Commerce to take on that role, which is not really what it's been put in place. And it's a non-political organization, but at the same time, it's there to fight for the rights of the business community and the residents of Negril. And if we were to become our own municipality, I can't agree more with King Spotlight. I think we would get a lot more done because we're in between Westmoreland and Hanover. And when at least how it used to be, when it was convenient for Westmoreland to claim Negril, they would claim us. When it was convenient for Hanover to claim Negril, they would claim us. And so we became that redheaded stepchild. And if it wasn't for the Negril Chamber of Commerce, I think we would have lost or we wouldn't be where we are. And I don't really think we're that far, to be honest, but we'd be a lot further behind. And by becoming our own municipality, that means that, we have our own courtroom. We already have a police station. Um, we would have our own judge, like all these things that come with being a municipality. And then we'd have direct representation to advocate for different things that we want to have in development. But right now, it's it's a bit scatterbrained, but it's not. It's a lot more organized than what it used to be. To be honest, I think we've made a lot of progress in the last 10 years or so. I've been here 16, but there's been a big difference, And I would say in the last 5 years, there's been a lot more forward movement in being more organized and being on the same page. That was a big part of, in my opinion, when I first moved here, that was a big problem, is that as a community, we weren't on the same page with a lot of things and the vision that we had for Negril. But I think now more than ever, as a community, we are. And it's just a good feeling that to see, at least from my perspective, to see that progress that we've made since I initially moved here. Thanks for the comment, King. Appreciate that. Great idea. Some water sports for young adults, sailing club for teenagers. Yeah, use what we have. Use the sea. That's a great business idea, Shelly. Doing water sports. I even think a swim club, because almost nobody knows how to swim here. Honestly, it's pretty bad. But if we can get young people into swimming, it's just an amazing life skill to have. I think that would also be that would be huge. Yeah, we don't even have anything of that nature. So great business idea, Shelly. Thank you, Elvis. That was the interview that I did with Elaine Bradley. Drew with another great restaurant suggestion, Cafe Goa. Really good. Good breakfast as well. I haven't eaten there in a while, but I do like their food there. I do like their breakfast menu. Okay, Georgia has another question here. I went on vacation years ago at Point Village in Negril. Loved it. I heard it's closed now. Do you have any information on it? No, Point Village is not closed. It's still open. They did so. Not true. The hotel part of it is closed, and I don't know when that closed. This was definitely over 10 years ago, but they converted the rooms into residence. So they're actually apartments there that are for sale. They have studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, I believe is the largest. I could be wrong, but I believe that's the largest size apartments that they have. And so that's another option that you have for purchasing. And you asked about pricing. Again, ballpark, please don't quote me on this. You're probably looking at anywhere from a studio apartment, probably 150,000, I would say, ballpark. And I would say that would be a good deal. That's probably on the very, very low end of studio apartments, non-refurbished. And then I've heard 2 bedrooms, 2 floors, you're looking at probably closer to over 400,000. And then the 3 bedrooms, I mean, I don't know what those are, but I'm sure that's over 500,000. And keep in mind, just for everybody's purposes, Point Village, it is a bit of a dated property, but it's a very unique property. It's on the northern part of Negril. And so Negril is made up of 7 miles. We all hear about the 7 miles of white sand beach. So it's actually 5 miles and 2 miles. So you have basically from downtown all the way up to Point Village, that's 5 miles. And then you have Bloody Bay, which is where Rio is, that's 2 miles. And that's what makes up the 7 miles of the white sand beach. So Point Village is actually the property that separates the 5 and the 2 miles. And with Point Village, you have a private beach. I should say you're connected to the 5 mile strip of the beach. And then you also have a private beach there as well. It's 14 acres. They have its own pool. And again, some of the amenities there are dated, but it's a very close-knit community, 24-hour security. I think it has a lot of potential. I'll put it that way. And it's just one of those properties that is also a great place to live if you're looking for a quiet place. It's a little, I wouldn't say off the beaten path, but it's the northern part of the beach. You're not like down like where we are here at Travelers. You're not like in the mix, if you will. You're sort of north, but again, it has some pretty good amenities if you ask me, and it's a little bit of a hidden gem. So I hope that answers your question, Georgia. Appreciate it. Hey Michelle, yep, doing another live stream. I think I kind of like these. Another question: does travelers have long-term booking rates for 1 to 2 month stays for use of older retired Canadians wanting to get away below freezing weather? No, totally understand that. We do. So our rates, we literally work out rates if you're staying. Excuse me. If you're staying for an extended period of time, we'll work out a deal with you. And we actually have repeaters who do that every single year. We have guests who stay here for 4 months. We have guests who stay here for a month, 3 months, and also depending on the type of accommodation that you're looking for, whether we have bungalows which are fan cooled cabins, and a lot of the long-term rentals of renters stay there. Our clients stay in those, and then we do have other clients who stay in our standard, our superior room for extended periods of time. It all depends on your budget, all depends on what you're looking for and your comfort level. But we're located right on the 7 Mile beach, and we have a pool bar, restaurant and bar, brand new gym as well. Really, really good Wi-Fi, I have to say, throughout the property, thanks to my brother Winfield. And we have a lot of amenities that I think people would appreciate. So yeah, if you are considering staying with us for an extended period of time, I'd be more than happy to help you out with that. Just if you can shoot me a DM on Instagram at Throp, I'll respond to that and try and help you out with that. And even if you don't have to book it, but I'll be more than happy to give you some information depending on when and how long you want to stay. Thanks for that. Cheryl, I'd love to see your family's hotel guest house. Can you do a video tour when I come next? I'd consider staying there. Sure. Okay. I will do that. I think that's a good idea. I will have this for, excuse me, I'll have this ready for next week. I'm going to do another live stream next Sunday. So I will put together a small video. Again, just keep in mind that the quality on the program that I'm using here for uploads, it's not that great. I'll try to find a workaround, but just keep that in mind when I do show that video next week. Thank you for the idea, Michelle. I appreciate that. Sade, another comment question. Speaking of high schools, JA needs to certify all high school students in marketable skills, online marketing, blog writing, auto repair, electrician, etc. would be good. What do you think? I mean, I've been saying this like crazy. There is so much opportunity in this gig economy that we find ourselves in right now. And with online learning, and even in our nonprofit organization, this is something that I'm pushing a lot, as a matter of fact. And we just recently started with one of our longtime contributors, Bill. He started this social media training group with some of our students, but I think that is the way to go. These kids are so savvy with their phones and with social media, but they're doing it for their own personal entertainment purposes. But if we could kind of change their mindset and say, hey, you can actually make money off of this. And it's just up to us as the adults to try and guide them, guide them and push them in that direction. And I actually did that with one of my athletes that I coach. We used to run together here in Negril, and he lives in Grange Hill, and he used to come out to Negril, and he was 19 at the time, didn't have a job. And that's one thing I kept encouraging him. I sent him some training videos on YouTube, videos that I use to learn social media and learn a lot of skills that I have now in terms of my channel and putting on live stream, and just try to convince him that, like, hey, look, there's an opportunity here, even within your community, that there are stores there are grocery, like whatever have you, that don't understand. These owners, they only understand how to sell rice or how to sell canned tuna, whatever it is, but they don't know how to market their store. They don't know how to use Facebook. They don't know how to use Instagram. But you, as a young person who grew up and lived in this, you can't go wrong. You can't. You just need to teach and take over these skills and take over these responsibilities for them. Anyway, I guess he listened to me because he shot me a text on Instagram maybe about 2, 3 weeks ago, and he's like, "Hey, I got my first client." I was like, "Man, that's awesome!" You know, I get so proud of this kid, and I just advise him, take it super seriously, go above and beyond what their expectations are, and just build your reputation and build your personal brand. And once you get this down and you're getting a little bit of money, whatever it is, I don't know how much he's getting paid, but he created an opportunity for himself with the innate skill sets that he has in using social media. And now if you can get one client, that means he can get 10 clients. And if you get 10 clients, that means you can get 100 clients. And to me, like, this is the opportunity of a lifetime for the young people in our country here, is that they don't even have to subject or confine themselves to businesses in Jamaica. They can be making, I tell them when I have an opportunity to speak to young people here, I tell them they don't have to get Jamaican money. They can get their clients and make their money in US dollars. And it's just a matter of positioning yourself and focusing your mind in that direction. And so, Sade, I think this is a great question, a great suggestion that you have. And I, to see it taught in schools, I don't know. I mean, I think our school system is great in many ways, but in other ways, a little lacking, a little behind the times. But I can only do what I can do within my circles of influence, and one of those circles being our nonprofit organization. So I just continue to push that as much as I possibly can with with the students that I have and I can reach out to. So again, very proud of that individual who's doing that, and I'll definitely follow up with him. And I know he's going to do good as long as he just keeps pushing it and keeps going forward. Thank you for that, Sade. Appreciate the comment. Appreciate the question. Okay, got some more questions here. Chelsea, good seeing you again on here. What is being done to prevent beach erosion, and is NEPA doing a good job to protect Negril and its environs? I'm going to try to stay as objective as possible on this. So the Chamber of Commerce, and I would say Negril in general, is definitely like pro environment, and mainly because we have an extremely delicate ecosystem. And as you saw in the video earlier, a big part of that ecosystem is the Great Morass. And I don't know the specifics or the science of it, but the morass is in a very important and integral part in maintaining and the creation of the white sand beach that we have here in Negril. And over the years, as Chelsea has alluded to, there has been massive erosion on our beach. I can even speak specifically to travelers. We probably lost, and I'm being very conservative, I want to say close to 20 feet of beach. And my dad started this property in 94. So that kind of gives you an idea. And you can see it in pictures that we've had from early 2000s, late 90s, what our beach used to look like and what it is now. And so one of the things that we are working as a community, we are working with NEPA on doing, is to re-wet the morass, which again, as I mentioned before, is an integral part of the Negril ecosystem and contributes to maintaining the white sand beach that we have. And we do have, especially in the summers, we have fires in the morass because it's so dry, and it's peat, which is extremely combustible. And because of that, you'll have pockets of fires in there during the summer because it's so dry. And one of the projects that we are working on, the Negril Chamber of Commerce is working on, is re-wetting the morass to moisturize it, so we can avoid that, and of course maintain the ecosystem that we have there and the ecosystem of Negril as a whole. As far as stopping beach erosion, we don't have a solution. The one, so we meaning the Negril Chamber of Commerce, which actually, this is almost 5 years ago, working with a I guess you can call them a sand drudging company in the Netherlands. And the solution, we wanted a natural solution because one of the solutions that they had was actually putting boulders or breakwaters along out and about, I believe it was a mile out into the sea, and that would slow down beach erosion. And one of the things that we found in our research is that when we looked at other cities or other beach towns who've done it, some have done it successfully, but there are cases that they put these boulders in the sea and they completely destroy their beach and completely destroy that town, and it just never worked out. And one thing that we never got was some sort of guarantee to say, hey, this is going to work. And it seemed like it was a gamble. So as a community, we voted against putting those in place. And on the natural remedy side, if you will, was sand dredging. And in working with the scientists and ecologists in the Netherlands, one of the things that they came up with was this mechanism that it's called a sand engine, but basically how it's set up, it uses the natural ocean waves to basically generate sand back on the beach. I really don't know the specifics on it, but this was one of the solutions that we were exploring. And the Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Issa from Swept Away, he actually flew them in several times to come make presentations to the community, but it was a very, very expensive endeavor. But long story short, one of the best solutions that we found in our research was to do sand dredging, because the sand that we had on our beach are from however many 20 years ago is out there in the ocean. And it's a matter of taking it up and bringing it back. So part of the study that we did, we actually had marine scientists, I guess they went out, they did scuba diving, took samples, and you can actually match up where the sand was for each part of the beach. And we have all those studies that we've done that we paid for to do. And again, that was the best solution that we came up with, but it's a very, very expensive solution, and it's not something that is permanent. You'd have to continue to do it over the years, and we're talking about millions of dollars each time. A little bit of long-winded, but I'm something I'm very passionate about, and something I worked on quite a few years to try and make happen when I was involved with the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association and the Negril Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for that question. Shika, am I doing any meet and greets in the future? I would love to. I never even thought of that. Yeah, I would. I don't know how I would go about doing that. But yeah, I would love to do some sort of meet and greet sometime in the future. I'd love to meet you guys at some point. I don't know where or how we would do that. If that's something you guys would be down for, doing a meet and greet, let me know. Let me know in the comments. And if you have any ideas how we can do a meet and greet, let me know. I would love to make that happen. And then also, I'd like to say, if you do see me out please say hello, because I know a lot of people say hello to me, or some people is like, or they text me on Instagram and say, I didn't want to say hi, but please do. I love meeting all of you guys. Honestly, it's great. It's great meeting you guys. So I encourage you to say hello if you do see me out, whether it's here or in Boston after I finished running a race, which happened to me last month, which was super cool. Hey, Fernando, what's going on? Thanks for joining. Sandra's asking about she's Jamaican, thinking about moving back to Jamaica. Do you have any ideas about steps to take? Sure. I mean, I guess one thing is like, I don't know how long that you've been away for, Sandra, or if you've been coming back and forth. But definitely, if you haven't been here in a while, come back and also check out where you're thinking of moving and residing in. Just don't come and move back into your old neighborhood. Go see what that's like. Do you want to move back there? Go check out other parts of the island. I think your tastes may have matured, they may have changed, and you may want to make adjustments in your mind based on the changing environment of you personally, and also that of Jamaica. So that's what I would say might be my first piece of advice, is to kind of come down, get the lay of the land, get a bit of an understanding of what Jamaica is like now, what the part of Jamaica that you're considering moving is like at this point in time, and then also consider different places. So I would say keep an open mind in regards to that. That would be best advice in getting started. And I think the last thing too is that if you do know anybody who has moved back here to, or maybe to the place a place that you're considering, or even people that you don't know, have conversations with them and talk to people who have moved back and get an understanding. And that's kind of the premise of my podcast, is to give everybody a different idea and different perspectives of different people who either live here or spend extended periods of time in Jamaica, and to really build an understanding in everybody's mind about what it's like to live here and what it's like for that particular person to live here, what their lifestyle is like, and maybe you can relate to them in their own way. So that would be my best advice, Sandra. Thanks for the question. Another good suggestion here: Fiverr and Upwork. This is so I see you in the comments there, Fernando. This is one of the athletes that I coach, Fernando. So Fiverr and Upwork, they are great online work opportunities. So you basically go online, create your profile, whatever your skill set is that you have, you can basically market yourself. So if you're a Facebook expert or Instagram expert, you can put your profile on there, and people who are looking for these particular experts or these particular skill sets, they can look at your profile and say, hey, I like the work that he's done. This is what I'm looking for. And then you also put your pricing up there. So you kind of create opportunity for yourself through these websites. So that's Fiverr and Upwork. Great suggestion, Chardonnay. All right, let's see. Any other questions? Thank you guys for the questions. Keep them coming. Probably go for another 15 minutes or so. So if you have any questions, just throw them in the comments. Comment here, Raquel: I believe the Ministry of Youth and Education should partner with global companies that can provide online work opportunities for kids graduating high school and college. Great suggestion. I think that would be an amazing partnership. And right now, to me, is like, I think all of our, like, what we should be pushing is creating digital opportunities for our students, because this is immediate money. This is immediate opportunity right away. You know, you don't have to go to med school and go to law school and be in school for the next 8 years. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm really advocating that everybody doesn't fit into that bucket. And we got to realize and accept that we're all not going to be lawyers. We're all not going to be doctors, and we're all not going to be in this professional realm. But let's open our minds and let's open up the opportunities and understand the world that we live in today, and see if what kids will bite on, and what kind of opportunities that they can create for themselves based on the world that we live in right now. Yeah, Brian makes a good comment in relation to the beach erosion, the beach morass, the morass, the reef are all dynamically related. That's absolutely true. King Spotlight, another great comment. He says beach erosion isn't the primary factor for losing our beach in Jamaica, but rather than illegal dredging of sand for booming construction market in the countryside since 2008, people were arrested. You bring up a good point there. So as far as the beach erosion goes, so there are several direct factors that factor into that. One of them is overfishing as well. The second one is pollution, and then the third, which we can't really control, is the wave action. So the wave action we can kind of control because of the reef, right? And so what a reef does is that it obviously creates a habitat for different sea life, but it also slows down wave action. And unfortunately, at least in Negril, like our reefs have not been taken care of. And because of pollution, water pollution, that is, our reefs have been dying off. At least they're not what they used to be. So that was actually another solution that we had, is to create artificial reefs that would in turn be a barrier to the extreme wave action that we've been seeing, especially during these what I call these phenomenal events like hurricanes and nor'easters. It's things of that nature that create high level wave action. And because of the water, because of the pollution, the water pollution, because of the overfishing, and we don't have the fish to, and the, I believe is the parrotfish, yes, who eat the coral that turn into the sand, we lose, we lose the creation of the beach. And then with the reefs dying, we lose the protection of the wave action, which comes in and erodes the beach. So those are another few factors that contribute to the erosion of the beach, and we want to try and counteract those as much as we possibly can. Thank you for that, Shelly. Should I do the meet and greet at the hotel? Yes, I would. That's a good idea. We can do it at the hotel. I don't know. I feel like most people, most subscribers are abroad, so maybe we'd have to set it at some time in the distant future. So I don't know if people would actually take a vacation. Or I don't know when people travel to Jamaica. Maybe the summertime would be a good time if there's a lot of people who travel for. I know we do a lot of family reunions here in the summertime, so maybe the summertime is a good time to do that. But good idea, Sade. Meryl asked about the crime situation in Negril. I answered this earlier, but I think it's worth mentioning again. Thank you for the question, Meryl. So the question before was stated in a little bit different context. Basically, is there a lot of crime in Negril? And I said there isn't. Negril is not a place where you're walking down the beach and you have to be afraid to get pickpocketed. And as I mentioned before, in general, Jamaicans despise thieves. Like they really, really do. And if there's a pickpocket in Sav or in downtown Kingston, the entire crowd is going to call that person out, and they're going to try to stop that guy because they just despise him. So in that regard, I wouldn't say that they're like you have that to worry about. But it's also at the same time, you have to be wary of your surroundings. Like this, like if you live in New York, I'm from New York, like I'm just always aware of my surroundings, and there's certain places that I wouldn't go at certain times because it's just not smart, and you just don't want to put yourself in a compromising situation. And I think sometimes people come here and throw caution to the wind and do things that they normally wouldn't do in their normal hometown. So just continue to use your common sense, I would say. Again, generally speaking, there could be things happening in Negril, but I don't know of anything happening. And as I mentioned before, I've been here 16 years. I don't move around in fear. And then two, I can't think of a place or a time where like I've been fearful of my life or anything of that nature. And again, I'm pretty home to work kind of situation, but even when I am socializing, I do feel safe, and I do feel okay. So that's just my take on Negril. But at the same time, anything can happen to you anywhere. Like I've been robbed in New York, but I haven't been robbed in Negril. Like, does that make me fearful every time that I'm in New York or anything like that? No. But things do happen, and thank God nothing has happened to me here, knock on wood. But tomorrow, sure, something could happen. But I try to be as careful as I possibly can. Okay, just gonna do a few more questions, a few more comments. Drew, how about a meet and greet at your hotel, bar, restaurant? Yep, I think that's a good idea. Great idea. We can do something here. That's a really, really good idea. We can put something together and get it out. Maybe even I'll do a poll and get an idea of the time of year that would work for everybody. Sheikah says she's coming in Easter. But yeah, even if we don't do the meetup and you do come to Negril, please say hello. I would love to say hello to you. More than happy to do that. Rashawn, is that you saying it, or Swain? I hope I'm saying it correctly. Hey, how is tourism looking for the upcoming holidays? It's actually looking really good, really, really good. As I mentioned earlier, both Canada and the UK have recently opened up, and we're getting Canadian guests finally. We're getting UK guests finally as well. The Christmas and New Year's look really, really well, really, really good. And not just here travelers, but also speaking to other hoteliers, they are pretty excited for the upcoming winter season. And we're just getting ready for you, for anybody, for you guys to come in and enjoy the facilities. We definitely missed everybody here. Travelers, we're finally starting to see again our repeat guests. Man, that's a big part of our business, and from a mental standpoint and maybe even sentimental, that we we look forward to our repeaters, and finally starting to see these familiar faces after literally years at this point, not having them. And we have a lot of guests who come just religiously every single year, sometimes multiple times per year. And we've missed them these last couple of years. So really great to see some more familiar faces coming in. And to answer your question, the upcoming holiday season is looking great. And if you are considering coming for the holiday season, definitely book your rooms from now if you haven't already, because I know we're already fully booked for New Year's Eve. And if you want something in the grill, I would say if there's anything left, I would say it's book as soon as you possibly can. Do you have the bandwidth to start an expat group on Facebook or WhatsApp? I think that's a good suggestion. I think that's a great suggestion. Definitely something that I am considering doing and figuring out how I could make that possible. And I think it would be a good place and a good space for us to continue to meet and ask and learn from each other. As a matter of fact, because I think there are a lot of people who are considering moving back to Jamaica, and there are a lot of people who are wanting to come down for extended period of time. And so, if we can learn from each other's experience in a group like this, like a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group, I think that would be great. Just another value add, right? Great suggestion, Sade. I appreciate that. Denise, I'm planning to move from the UK. Most people suggest to buy a gated community. Buying gated communities. Would you recommend buying outside of a gated community? This is my preference. I would say I always recommend, especially if you've been living abroad for an extended period of time, you can't go wrong with a gated community. It's a peace of mind. You don't have to. I did, Denise. I don't know if you saw the video that I did with Mrs. Elaine Bradley, and she was talking about how she retired here with her husband from the UK, and she doesn't live in a gated community, and she's a big advocate for her community. She's part of the neighborhood watch, and she feels very safe and content with where she lives, and she made the personal choice that she doesn't want to live in a gated community. But again, you can't go wrong with living in a gated community. It's a little bit more expensive, but you have that peace of mind. And depending on where you are, you may have a little bit more amenities that you would have than you would have if you didn't live in a gated community. So yeah, I would definitely recommend living in a gated community. And there are many throughout Jamaica. It's not just they're a handful here in Negril, but as you go to like Montego Bay, as you go to Kingston, I don't know where you're thinking, or even Ochi, there are many of these developments, and they're popping up like wildfire. I almost think I need to do a video on the gated communities throughout Jamaica, because there are just so many in development right now. Unfortunately, none in Negril, but that's what it is. All right, let's grab a few more in here. Another one from Chelsea. Thank you, Chelsea. Is the Negril Chamber of Commerce doing a good job in helping promote new business and to generate more employment opportunities? I would say I wouldn't say that that's like their mission in right now, because I'd say the Chamber of Commerce is just taking on the responsibility of almost like running a town, because of the challenges that I alluded to before. Because we don't have a central government, and because we aren't our own municipality, you see that the Chamber of Commerce it's just fighting for, I think, the many basic things that we should be getting already as a community. And I'm not saying that they don't do this, but it's just, I wouldn't say it's like it hasn't been it's not like the primary thing that the chamber works on every day. But it does do that. It definitely does promote business, and we want to be able to attract more business here and more investment happening in Negril, more small businesses as well. But right now, again, in my opinion, I feel like we find ourselves just being the one fighting and advocating on behalf of Negril more than anything else. It is a place, I would say, if you are looking for a job, or if you are looking for employment, or even if you are looking to invest in Negril, it's a great source for information. It's a great source for networking and connecting with the Negril business community. So I will always advocate for the Chamber of Commerce, and they're very open. I should say, whereas I am part of it, we are very open to welcoming new business and welcoming new residents to the Negril community. And if we can help in any way that we can, we will. I can tell you that. Andrea, are hotels contributing to the pollution problem? How are they monitored? I mean, the pollution problem in the sense of the water pollution, I don't think that the hotels are contributing this. I think that's the context in which you're answering. excuse me, in which you're asking the question. Um, the pollution that I would say that's happening is, this is water pollution speaking specifically, is that it's just, I think Jamaica as a whole, like, unfortunately, they residents just throw garbage in the river. I don't know if people are familiar with that, but they'll literally throw like a scandal bag into the river, and then that comes down. Obviously, river opens up into the mouth of the sea, and then it goes into the sea. And so you have, I can speak specifically to the South Negril River. There are residents living all and up and down the bank of that river. Maybe not immediately on the bank, but close to the bank, close enough to throw your garbage in there. And when you have like all these plastics and these chemicals that are going into the river that are eventually bleeding out into the sea and into the ocean, that's going to cause pollution. Hotels, I can't see, or do I know of any hotel that is directly contributing to water pollution. I mean, I think in the grill they would be called out immediately. Um, so as far as like how are we monitored in terms of, I'm assuming you're in terms of like the environmental impact that we are having. Specifically, I mean, this is where NEPA comes in. So NEPA is the National Environmental Planning Agency of Jamaica, and they are charged with regulating and also protecting the environment and making sure that they hold accountable, particularly developments, the impact that they have on the environment. So that's one thing that we do fight for as a community and as a chamber of commerce, making sure that these developments that do come in place, that they have as least impact as possible on the environment, and that we're not jeopardizing any sort of, whether it's bird or insect species or even marine life. When that's happening, there was, I'm not going to mention the hotel, but there was even one hotel that was, and they may still be trying to do this. They were trying to build an artificial beach where there are cliffs, and they were actually looking to dynamite. And we're like, are you crazy? Like, are you going to use dynamite in the grill to blow up these coral reefs? And I don't know anything about dynamiting, but like that doesn't even sound good to me at all. And they were going to be like blowing up the reef and then putting down this artificial beach, which is crazy. And yeah, we fought tooth and nail against that. I don't think that's happening, but these are the type of things that the Chamber of Commerce, instead of focusing on business that we have to fight for, of some foreign company coming here and trying to blow up different parts of the stretch to create a beach for their guests. But NEPA is the agency that monitors this, and there are just a slew of different types of environmental regulations. So, for example, even though, like say Travelers, for example, we're located on the beach, and the beach is a public beach, 100% public. Anybody can go on there anytime. Don't let anybody tell you any difference at any part. But at the end of the day, we are responsible for the beach that's in front of our property. So we keep it clean. We we can't do anything like that would destroy the beach, that sort of thing. We also have to, I don't know off the top of my head what exactly is on that checklist, but in order to receive our beach license, we have to pass different tests. And then also there are NEPA agencies who come in and do checks on us and making sure that we're following regulation, that we're following protocol. So thanks for that question, Andrea. I appreciate it. Omar's asking, so he's sorry, let me put this on up first. So Omar, he's looking to move back from the UK. His current job is a gas engineer plumber, and he's looking, is there any demand for that? I would say yes, there is. but I can't speak to that directly because I'm just thinking again, maybe not here in Negril, but like, man, there are so many developments that are happening in different parts of the island. I will also say, speaking of entrepreneurial opportunity, if you do, unfortunately, we have a lot of tradesmen that are very skilled in terms, especially like we have great carpenters, we have great masons here, um, even AC technicians. Like they're incredibly, incredibly talented, but unfortunately, they lack like professionalism. You know, definitely these things are can be on island time. So this is what I think of like when I say about people bringing their skill set, bringing their mentality and their experience that they've had, or maybe you've had, Omar, being in the UK and be making time a priority and making your commitment to when you said you were going to get done, and then also having a high level of high quality in the job that you do. Now if you bring that tenacity here to Negril, like you will be that guy, you will be the person that people go to, or your company that you create, and then you can have a team of people who have, like as I mentioned, who are very skilled, but you are the leader and you are the one who sets this elevated standard of acceptance when it comes to these trades. Man, you will definitely have that company, and small hotels, large hotels will be calling you because we can't necessarily have a 24/7 AC technician on board. And Negril is mostly made of small hotels. And so there are many times that we have to call in these contractors, but unfortunately, they're not always the most professional at the end of the day. And I'm going to be quite frank about that. So again, if you have these skill sets and you can bring an elevated level of service to the table, you will definitely serve to benefit from that many times over. Thanks for that question. All right, I'm going to start wrapping up here. Just going to answer a couple more here. Thank you for that comment, Shelly. Happy holidays to you as well. All right, so going to answer, I think I saw one question further up. Okay, these are, all right, we're going to make this the last question that we have here. So before I close out, just want to thank everybody who came today. Really, really appreciate you guys taking the time out. I definitely don't take that for granted. You taking this, how long have we been on? We're about an hour and a half right now, a little bit more. But taking time out of your day and spending it with me, hanging out and asking me questions. So I certainly appreciate that. And you guys had a lot of great suggestions in the comments as well. So we will take those into consideration. Okay, one more came in from Shelly. So that's definitely the last question from Shelly. So Sade, your love for Negril really shows. Tell us how this community-oriented experience in Negril compares to when you lived in Negril in New York City. Excuse me. So obviously, like it's very different lifestyle than in New York for sure. One of the most obvious is the pace at which things move here, and pace in multiple facets. So pace in terms of just day-to-day life, whether it's grocery shopping, going to the bank, and then also on the business side and getting things done. As I alluded to, working with different tradesmen and tradespeople, it can be frustrating, but you just, at least in my mind, I just came to the understanding and acceptance that, look, hey, I'm not going to change certain things here. I got to do my best to adapt. So I think I've done a pretty good job of that over the years, being able to adapt and make adjustments in my mindset and in my approach. And this has also lowered the level of frustration that I have gone through from time to time. I had a pretty rough transition when I first moved down here because it just took me some time. I would say almost close to 2 years to understand and accept the difference between lifestyle and doing things. And I was just trying to take a round peg and put it into a square hole, and it just wasn't working. And once I began to accept and to adjust my behaviors and my mindset to how things work here, I became very appreciative of how the lifestyle is and living here. And I would say more so in the last 3-5 years that I've had an elevated level of appreciation, not only for Negril, but also for Jamaica. And one of the things that I love doing is definitely taking road trips around the island, especially Port Antonio is one of my favorite parts of the island to go to. But and it's, it's quite a long drive to get to that part of the island. But anytime I have a chance or an opportunity to go there, I definitely do. And just to chill out and to enjoy Jamaica, and sometimes even being here, I can just be caught up in what I'm doing and working a lot and not take that time to enjoy the environment and to enjoy what a lot of visitors come here to experience. And it's important to not take that for granted. And I know I have in the past. And that is probably one of the things that I enjoy most about being here is going to different parts of the island. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. I could have answered that in a few different ways, but thank you for that question, Shade. I appreciate it. All right, so closing out with the last question, were from Shelly. Are there any plans to develop Negril as a cruise ship destination? Great question to close out on. So they try. So we don't have the depth of the ocean to bring in these great big cruise ships. There's no area that we would do that. However, one of the things that is hopefully coming on board, at least slated on paper, is that they're going to be doing a multitude of bypass roads from Montego Bay to Negril. And I'm not sure if you're aware, the Montego Bay traffic is absolutely insane, especially if you're there during rush hour times. It literally is a parking lot. I don't know how people live there. I don't know how they do business there, because it's very much like Kingston, I would say. It's like, speaking of the comparison of New York and here, like in New York, I can get up early, do things, and just like boom, 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 go different places in the city, get things done, and checking off things on my to-do list. Where in, like, I always say, like, if you're doing business in Kingston, you probably could do one thing every day. And like, that's not to speak to like the slowness of people or anything like that. That's specifically because of the traffic. And Montego Bay is very much like that. So if you are coming from the airport, or if you're on a cruise from Montego Bay, to drive to Negril, depending on the time that you come, I mean, you could take up to 2 hours to get here, maybe even more, because of that traffic. And that's no exaggeration at all. It is absolutely horrendous. So with the bypass roads, and you may or may not know where I'm talking here. So they're looking to do some sort of bypass through Bogue, and then also a bypass through past Hopewell. And these are like traffic jam zones and like coming out of Montego Bay. And then the big one, I'm sure if you've ever experienced a ride from Montego Bay to Negril, you've caught up in traffic in Lucy. And so doing those three huge bypass, you're probably looking at, you could, I mean, arguably, if you even cut it down to 45 minutes, but some people are saying they can see it being a 30-minute drive from Montego Bay to Negril, which would be absolutely incredible. And that would open up completely the cruise ship business to Negril. And there are some, I believe there are some cruises who do come to Negril, like to Rick's Cafe, and go back. But if we can shorten that commute, we can shorten that time from Montego Bay with these bypass roads, man, we're talking about a whole new revenue stream, a whole new level of customers for Negril, not just the hotels, but as a whole. You'll have people coming here in the morning and spending the entire day and going back on their cruise ship to sleep or to go to their next destination. And so that is looking like a possibility. Unfortunately, we don't have the natural infrastructure that is in place to have a cruise ship dock in Negril. That would be absolutely amazing. Answer quick questions here. This is no problem. Do you have demographics of Negril, large age groups? Unfortunately, we don't. I mentioned that before. We need to do a census in Negril because of the growing population. So we don't really, at least if we do have these numbers, they're not up to date and they're not accurate. A new census definitely needs to be taken of Negril, age group, demographics, etc. And Harren, sorry to cut you off, but like I talked this. I don't mean not to answer your question, but I spoke to this earlier. You can pop back in. I talked about a multitude of different businesses that I think would do well. I mentioned a coffee shop. We talked about doing even different trades on a professional level, electrical, plumbing, that sort of thing, but bringing a higher level or higher dynamic skill set to the table. We don't have anything like a bowling alley, movie theater, different social aspects, socialization, businesses, if you will. Unfortunately don't have them here in Negril. So thank you guys for the questions. Thank you guys for being here once again. We're going to close off right there. I will definitely be doing this again next Sunday. I really enjoy this. And again, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you all spending the time with me here today. If you haven't, I did the second interview with Ayanna Gregory. I released that yesterday. So you guys can check that video out. And if you're not subscribed, definitely subscribe. That's going to really help support and boost the channel, especially if you got a little bit of value out of our discussion today. And also hit that like button. That really, really helps with growing the channel. And truly appreciate everybody's support in the chat, everybody who's come onto the live stream here today. I can't thank you enough for spending the time with us today. And again, thank you for the questions. Thank you for the comments. And next week, I'll be here again, 12 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. GST time next Sunday. So thank you all. And I will see you guys in the next live stream next week.